Grant Udinski's name might not be a household one yet, but his interview with the Cleveland Browns just triggered a seismic wave across NFL circles. At just 30 years old, the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive coordinator is being quietly positioned as more than a coaching candidate. He's the prototype for what SHEDEUR Sanders has been publicly demanding from an NFL franchise: vision, innovation, and developmental structure.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
This isn't about rumors, it's about alignment. Sanders' preferences are clear. He won't play for dysfunction. And now, the Browns, historically synonymous with just that, may be signaling their readiness to become something else entirely. What's unfolding in Cleveland isn't a standard coaching search, it's a calculated pivot. Udinski represents a systemic overhaul, not just a schematic tweak. The Browns' decision to interview him isn't random, it's a move designed to broadcast intent to every player, agent, and rival GM. We're not chasing talent blindly anymore, we're building the system first. The excitement online isn't just hype, it's relief. Fans aren't responding to a flashy name, they're reacting to logic, to a rare sense that the franchise is thinking long-term, strategically, and with the kind of intentionality that could finally attract elite, modern quarterbacks like Sanders without having to beg, bribe, or burn draft capital. The Cleveland Browns just hit the NFL with one of the most eyebrow-raising, jaw-dropping moves of the offseason. And no, it's not a flashy free agency deal or a blockbuster trade. It's a job interview. Specifically, the Browns' front office reportedly brought in 30-year-old offensive coordinator Grant Udinski from the Jacksonville Jaguars to interview for their head coaching vacancy. And while that might not sound earth-shattering at first glance, what's brewing beneath the surface has sent shockwaves through the internet and turned fan forums into full-blown think tanks. Because this isn't just about a head coach. This might be the beginning of a total philosophical shift for a franchise that's been stuck in the mud for what feels like forever. And at the center of all this buzz, without ever stepping foot in Berea or wearing a Browns jersey, is none other than SHEDEUR Sanders. No, there's no trade. No secret handshake deal. But make no mistake, the Browns just sent a message. And everyone, including Sanders, is listening. Let's be honest, the Browns haven't exactly been known for offensive innovation, quarterback development, or stable leadership. For years, they've been the NFL's poster child for how not to build around young talent. High draft picks were wasted in outdated systems, promising players thrown into dysfunctional staffs, and coaching turnover that spun like a carousel on turbo speed. But this time feels different. Bringing in Grant Udinski isn't just about filling a vacancy, it's signaling a radical departure from the past. This is the Browns saying, we're not recycling names anymore. We're building something new. And Udinski? He is the blueprint. Young, forward-thinking, obsessively analytical. A coach who reportedly lived in his car early in his career to chase opportunity, who built his playbook from tempo, spacing, and quarterback adaptability, not from dust-covered binders filled with 1990s formations. He doesn't just understand modern offenses, he lives in them. And more importantly, he knows how to build them around the quarterback, not force the quarterback into them. Which brings us back to SHEDEUR Sanders. Sanders has made one thing clear. He's not going to the highest bidder or the most desperate team. He's looking for infrastructure, development, stability, a franchise that gets it, one that isn't still running on legacy fumes or hoping vibes can fix a broken locker room. So when Cleveland starts looking at Udinski, someone who embodies all those next-gen coaching traits, it doesn't take a detective to figure out what's happening here. It's not about optics. It's about alignment. Because for once, Cleveland isn't trying to plug a quarterback into a broken system. They're flipping the script. Build the system first, then bring in the quarterback. And the internet is losing its mind. Comments from Browns fans are pouring in, don't let him leave. Hire him now. You don't see that kind of unity unless something cuts through the cynicism, and Browns fans have every reason to be cynical. But this isn't blind hope. This is calculated optimism. People see the alignment. A coaching candidate whose offense is tailor-made for a smart, mobile quarterback like SHEDEUR, paired with a front office that might finally be thinking 5 moves ahead instead of reacting 5 steps behind. This is more than a hire. It's a vibe shift. Look at what's working in today's NFL. The teams moving the fastest aren't clinging to ancient coaching trees or hiring based on resume length. They're hiring innovators. Coordinators who understand that developing quarterbacks today means integrating analytics, tempo control, spacing, and psychological safety. not just screaming on the sidelines or running film study marathons. Teams like the Lions, Dolphins, and Texans are thriving because they evolved. And Cleveland? They might be finally joining that party. That's what makes Udinski so compelling. His background isn't just a good story, it's a roadmap. He climbed through the ranks on merit, not nepotism. He's coached in systems that demanded flexibility, not rigid schematics. He succeeded by maximizing mobile quarterbacks, adapting mid-game, and leaning on data without abandoning intuition. And his rumored ability to fuse traditional leadership with next-gen tools, VR, biometric feedback, and real-time analytics, makes him not just modern but essential in today's league. That kind of leadership is exactly what Sanders has said he's looking for. SHEDEUR isn't evaluating teams like prospects used to. It's not about cap space or market size, it's about philosophy. He wants a team that isn't just going to draft him and hope for the best. He's looking for one that has already laid the foundation, that has a system in place, that has a culture of development, a shared language between scouts, coaches, and analysts. A place where leadership is earned, not just handed out based on title. And this potential move? This interview? It's the first sign that Cleveland might finally be putting those pieces together. It's subtle but it's strategic. Because even if there's no direct link between Sanders and the Browns right now, this coaching pursuit sends a very clear signal, not just to Sanders but to the league. We're not doing this the old way anymore. That's not a press release. That's a move. A move that says Cleveland is thinking bigger. Long-term. System first. And the fans? They're not just hyped. They're aware. This isn't a temporary high. This is years of frustration, exhaustion, and heartbreak finally seeing something that resembles logic. Browns Twitter didn't unite over a splashy free agent. They're rallying behind a structure. That's rare. You don't get that kind of reaction unless there's something real at stake. And in this case, it's not just about fixing the Browns' offense. It's about redefining what this franchise is about. Because if Cleveland can pull this off, if they follow through, if they don't let this be another, almost moment, they're not just rebuilding a team. They're repositioning their identity. They stop being the team of last resort and start becoming a destination. Not because of money or desperation but because of vision. This is what culture building looks like. Not press conferences. Not hashtags. Behavior. Follow through. Creating a system where coaches and players aren't guessing what the plan is, they know. And if you pair Udinski's systems-first mindset with someone like SHEDEUR Sanders, who thrives on structure, preparation, and intentional leadership, that's not just a quarterback-coach duo. That's a movement. The NFL's competitive edge isn't experience anymore, it's agility. Teams with younger coordinators and decentralized leadership are outpacing the legacy franchises. And Cleveland, by targeting Udinski, is putting itself right in the center of that shift. The only question now is, will they commit? Because Sanders isn't going to be sold by empty promises or headline hires. His calculus is deeper. He's watching how organizations act when no one's looking, how they build from the ground up. And if Cleveland really is serious, if this interview is the start of something, not just another news cycle, they could become one of the most interesting landing spots in the entire league. And let's be real, no one saw that coming. This isn't just one guy interviewing for a coaching job. It's a seismic shift in how Cleveland could finally do business. It's a shot at ending decades of reactive decision-making. It's the first sign of real, structural evolution. And if they get it right, if they actually follow through, this could be the move that turns Cleveland from a punchline into a powerhouse. Let us know what you think. Is this the turning point for the Browns or just another tease? Drop your take in the comments, like the video if you're feeling the shift, and make sure to subscribe for more updates on where this wild NFL ride goes next. The energy around Cleveland right now? It's buzzing, and not the usual preseason, maybe this is our year delusion. This buzz is different, grounded, focused. Because when you take a step back and really look at what the Browns might be doing, it's hard not to feel like something serious is taking shape. Let's start with the obvious. SHEDEUR Sanders isn't just a quarterback prospect. He's not some plug-and-play rookie who's gonna quietly adapt to whatever system drafts him. No, SHEDEUR is walking into the NFL with a full resume of expectations, vision, and influence. He's smart, media-savvy, and deliberate about where he's going. And if the Browns think they're going to sell him on potential alone, they're already behind. But if they are intentionally laying the groundwork, building an offensive infrastructure that mirrors what SHEDEUR's looking for, then this is exactly the kind of long-game thinking that's been missing from Cleveland's playbook for decades. Here's what stands out. SHEDEUR has publicly said he'll only play for a team that has the right support system in place. He's not chasing a paycheck. He's chasing longevity. He wants a team that prioritizes development over desperation. One that's not going to treat him like a short-term savior, but like a long-term leader. That's why this potential Yudinsky hire matters. Because it's not just a coaching decision, it's a philosophical one. Yudinsky represents everything SHEDEUR says he values. He doesn't coach from ego, he coaches from systems. He's known for maximizing the potential of quarterbacks who think on their feet, who use mobility as a weapon, who play with both instinct and preparation. That's SHEDEUR. So yeah, this isn't just a random name swirling in the off-season rumor mill. It's a calculated move that fits a much bigger picture. The Browns, for once, are trying to build before they buy. And that's revolutionary for a team that spent most of the last 2 decades panic buying QBs, only to throw them into chaotic systems and pray for miracles. Look at their history: high draft picks, big expectations, zero follow-through. Quarterback after quarterback thrown into schemes that didn't suit their style, surrounded by coordinators who barely lasted a season. No wonder none of it stuck. But this time, they're flipping the formula. Build the system first. Create the culture. Then find the quarterback who fits into that, not the other way around. It's the difference between renting a star and developing one. And in the modern NFL, development wins every time. Let's talk more about Yudinsky. His name isn't just hot because he's young. Though yes, that helps. It's because his career arc represents a kind of football intelligence that's rare. This is a guy who's made sacrifices to learn the game from every angle. Sleeping in his car just to stay close to opportunities. Climbing through the ranks by proving he could adapt, not just repeat what he was taught. And that adaptability? That's gold in today's league. Coaches like Yudinsky don't build offenses around stubborn philosophy, they build them around people. Quarterbacks who thrive in tempo-based schemes. Systems that use analytics not as gimmicks, but as decision-making tools. Offenses that move fast, stretch the field, and give quarterbacks the tools to diagnose, adjust, and lead. This isn't theoretical. We've seen this exact formula work across the league. Teams with modern offensive minds who trust their quarterback's intelligence, really trust it, are winning. Not just winning games but shaping identities. Quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, C.J. Stroud, and even Tua have flourished under systems that were built for them. Not forced upon them. That's the blueprint. And now the Browns might finally be getting the memo. That's why this move feels so different. They're not just interviewing a coach. They're auditioning a future. And if that future includes someone like SHEDEUR, this is the kind of structural realignment that could change everything. Let's be clear, this is still the Browns we're talking about. They've made bold hires before. They've promised culture shifts before. But the difference here is the alignment. Fans aren't rallying behind a name because it's exciting. They're rallying because it makes sense. Yudinsky fits the direction this team should be going. And for once, it feels like the front office actually gets it. The response online? Wild. Browns fans, typically the most jaded, side-eyed group in football, are suddenly posting things like, "This is the smartest move we've made in years." Or, "Finally, a plan that starts at the top." These aren't knee-jerk reactions. They're a reflection of something deeper. Fans recognizing strategy where there used to be chaos. Because this isn't about short-term hype. It's about sustainable identity. And you can't talk about identity without talking about how rare this moment is. Cleveland's been defined by inconsistency for so long that even the idea of planning ahead feels foreign. But this is the new NFL. Teams that succeed aren't leaning on tradition. They're leaning on process. Unified language between departments. Consistent evaluation frameworks. Development pipelines that extend from the front office to the field. That's how you build. That's how you make Cleveland a place players actually want to go. Think about that for a second. When was the last time a top-tier quarterback prospect wanted to play in Cleveland? If the Browns follow through on this trajectory, if they really commit to this rebuild with Yudinsky or someone like him, it changes how agents talk about the franchise. How young players see it. How the entire league evaluates it. From desperation case to development hub. And let's not forget the cultural layer to all this. Both Yudinsky and Sanders represent something that Cleveland has sorely lacked: authenticity. Not PR statements. Not front office spin. But real lived leadership. Yudinsky's background isn't some polished resume. It's grit, sacrifice, and a relentless obsession with improvement. That's the kind of energy a struggling team can rally behind. SHEDEUR's leadership is cut from a similar cloth. He's been in the spotlight, sure, but he's also been under relentless pressure, constantly questioned, constantly proving people wrong. That's not flash, that's focus. That's the kind of leader who builds culture through presence, not platitudes. And when you put those two together, you get more than chemistry. You get a foundation. This is what makes the moment so pivotal. The Browns aren't just choosing a coach. They're defining who they are, who they want to be, for the next decade. Are they going to stick to the old formula, cycling through coaches and quarterbacks every other season? Or are they finally ready to build a real system, one that could attract and support someone like SHEDEUR Sanders for the long haul? Because that's the real prize here. Not just winning a few more games. Not just hitting on a draft pick. But creating a franchise where top-tier talent thrives. Where development is consistent. Where systems support people, not the other way around. Cleveland's front office has a shot to do something they've never done. Earn trust by following through. Not talking about change, but being the change. And in this league, that's everything. So yeah, the internet went crazy for a reason. This wasn't a random moment. This was a signal. A calculated, deliberate, quietly loud move that said, we're done with the old ways. Now all eyes are on what comes next. Will the Browns finally commit to this vision? Will they hire the coach who fits their supposed new identity? Will they build the kind of program that can actually support a quarterback like SHEDEUR Sanders? Not just with hype, but with real structure? We'll see. But for the first time in a long time, Cleveland isn't just reacting to a problem. They're trying to prevent one. That's not just smart, it's transformational. And let's be real, when's the last time anyone associated the Cleveland Browns with intentionality? Not luck. Not last-ditch desperation. Intentionality. A front office making moves that actually connect across time and strategy. That's not just rare in Cleveland, that's unheard of. But this Udinski interview? It's not some PR stunt. It's not a flashy veteran name meant to calm season ticket holders. It's a clear pivot, a calculated risk in the right direction. Young. Hungry. Philosophically aligned with the way the NFL is actually evolving, not how it used to be. And fans, real football fans who've seen every misstep, know the difference. That's why the reaction wasn't confusion. It was clarity. Because when you've lived through the Hugh Jacksons and Freddie Kitchens of the world, when you've watched this team blow up draft capital for short-term band-aids, when every new era turned out to be the same mess in a different font, you learn how to spot the moment when things actually might be turning. And this feels like that moment. Not because it's perfect, not because it's guaranteed, but because it's coherent. The math adds up. The vision aligns. The potential of a SHEDEUR Sanders-type quarterback paired with a Udinski-style coach isn't just a dream, it's a functional strategy. And that's the word that keeps coming back to the surface. Strategy. This isn't about vibes anymore. It's about process. Rebuilding from the foundation, not the rooftop. For decades, Cleveland kept chasing quick fixes. Trade for a name. Draft the next hot thing. Plug them in, hope for the best. Rinse. Repeat. Collapse. But the NFL has changed. You can't fake culture anymore. You can't just throw talent into chaos and expect results. Today's league rewards system builders. Coaches who treat offensive schemes like living organisms, adaptive, responsive, player-first. Front offices that invest in why decisions are made, not just what they are. Quarterbacks who aren't just performers, but extensions of the organizational identity. That's why SHEDEUR matters so much here. He's not just another top draft pick. He's an inflection point. He knows what his presence means to a franchise. He's coming in with a brand, with an ethos, with expectations that go far beyond what happens on Sundays. And if you're a team like Cleveland, that's exactly the kind of quarterback you have to be ready for, not just in playbook terms but in culture, communication, and structure. That's the part so many teams miss. They get the guy with talent but don't build the container to hold it. And then a year later they're re-evaluating. But if the Browns are actually building the container first, with a coach like Udinski who understands that quarterback development is a total ecosystem, then for once they might not blow it. This is about more than schemes and analytics. It's about credibility. Are the Browns finally the type of franchise that can attract a leader like SHEDEUR Sanders not through luck, but through vision? Because SHEDEUR doesn't just want to play in the NFL, he wants to thrive in it. He wants a team that reflects his level of intentionality. One that's not asking him to save the franchise, but to join something that's already structured to succeed. And if the Browns are serious, if they're really building a team-first, system-first environment, then suddenly Cleveland isn't the fallback anymore. It's the opportunity. That's what fans are responding to. Not hype. Not hope. But the rare feeling that, for once, there's a real plan. Now none of this is sealed. The Browns haven't hired anyone yet. Sanders hasn't committed to anything. This is all still a conversation. But conversations matter. Narratives shape perception. And right now, Cleveland is in the middle of rewriting its own. Not with slogans. With decisions. And this decision, this one interview, might just be the beginning of something that changes how the league sees the Browns and how the Browns finally see themselves. So what do you think? Could this be the start of a real shift, or is it just another chapter in the Browns' long book of almosts? Let us know below. Seriously, the comments are going to be wild on this one. Like the video if you're seeing what we're seeing, and hit that subscribe button if you're ready to follow every twist of this wild new era. Because something big might be brewing in Cleveland. And this time, it actually makes sense.